Hi, I'm Dr. Robin Phillips. I'm a gynecologist in private practice in Manhattan, and I'm a menopause specialist. I am 58 years old.
Robin, you know a lot about this because you actually wrote the Menopause. I'm going to put that for the Menopause Bible. You're one of those people. I don't even have to ask a question. Just talk to us about women, life change, perimenopause, what their options are. Just talk to people out there like you talk to me, because you're an extraordinary person and you have vast knowledge, more than most anyone in the country at this. So go.
The perimenopausal transition followed by menopause is very easy for some people, and it's a nothing. But most of us are not that lucky, and some people suffer terribly through perimenopause and menopause. And when you question people later looking back at life, most of them say the hardest period of their lives was the perimenopausal transition.
Can you give me just can just run down for some people so they can identify for themselves what are the major symptoms?
Well, with perimenopause, the periods can become erratic, or they can become too frequent and heavy, but there's a complete loss of predictability. We all, as women, our lives are punctuated by a monthly cycle. It's like the tides or the moon. And not knowing what's going to happen what day, having complete, utter loss of mood control. Because in perimenopause, hormones can shift dramatically. In a given day, when they measure hormone levels for any woman, in one single day, she can have no estrogen and she can have high pregnancy levels. Because when the ovary kicks back on from being off, it's in overdrive. And so there is a tremendous mood lability, which is infuriating for people who are normally even-tempered and know how they're going to feel when they wake up in the morning for the rest of the day. I think the big message for people is that for most women, they do not have to suffer, if they are suffering, with these terrible sweats, with loss of sleep from being up from drenching sweats, and from a dry vagina, and a loss of mood control.
Memory.
Memory also is a huge problem. Let's
headaches. I had headaches.
Yeah, Les has headaches for many people.
Freezing. I was freezing.
Well, it's called thermodysregulation, which means that basically your temperature is out of control. And so suddenly there can be this incredible heat wave, drenching sweat, and then you're shivering. And this can happen multiple times a night. I know for myself when I went through it, I had to change 3 nightgowns and kept turning the pillow over because it was wet. Some people have it more in the day. Everyone has their own version of this, but the quality of life disruption can't be overestimated.
Okay, so you know, I look back now and I've done this a lot to the book. You know, my mother's generation, you know, she was and I think still is on hormones, and for most of the people my age who were growing up, most women were taking some form of hormones. So menopause didn't seem to be a big thing on the table in terms of a topic.
Right.
We had that Women's Health Initiative study that clearly scared some people, and I feel like a lot of women now don't feel like they have options. It's either suffer or die. I feel like that's what I feel a lot of women look down a dark alley of, I'm just going to suffer and be miserable, or I'm going to die. What's the truth in that?
The suffering is unnecessary. We now have a lot of studies on hormones, both the old oral Prempro hormone that was tested in the Women's Health Initiative, which was the only hormone offered to American women, which is fraught with risks, as very well documented in the Women's Health Initiative. But there's also transdermal estrogen products, which are bioidentical. They're available in pharmaceutical form now. You don't have to go to a compounding pharmacy. And they have been used extensively in Europe. Transdermal pure estradiol gel has been the #1 estrogen in Europe since 1975, and it is still the #1 estrogen in Europe. And it didn't get released in the United States as a gel until 2004. But there is data on its safety in low dose since 1975 in Europe.
And that data states?
There are risks to everything. There is no risk-free alternative in life, but the risk can be minimized by selective dosing and correct monitoring. And each woman has to make her own choice. One size doesn't fit all in anything in life, and certainly not in this. And I think it is very important for someone to see a doctor who is an expert in this field, because a lot of the data is coming out of Europe. It's not coming out of the United States, and someone has to be aware of what's going on there, because we have a wonderful FDA that controls what hormones are available in the United States, but it's based on American data.
Let me just go back to one thing you said, and I think it's a phrase that's knocked around, and Susan Summers kind of got a lot of attention for it, and then Oprah started talking about it. But I don't know that everyone actually knows what it means. When you say bioidentical, can you just tell us, what does that really mean? Because people say it, and I don't think they know what they're really saying.
Absolutely. Good question. A bioidentical hormone is a hormone which you are taking through the skin, for instance, which is identical as a chemical to the estrogen that came out of your ovary when your ovary was functioning, thank you, and making estradiol and progesterone. So there is nothing about that chemical that you are getting that is different from what you had all those decades nicely coming out of your ovary. In addition, if a hormone is given through the skin, transdermally, it is going directly into the bloodstream. That's what happens in nature. A Mother Nature, in her wisdom, the hormones come out of the ovary and they go into your bloodstream. So that it's not only the same chemical, but it's in the same form. If one takes an estrogen orally, it is going to the liver, it goes through the gut, it gets digested in the liver, and you end up with a tremendous amount of hormone sitting in the liver, which would never be seen in nature. So that you have way more hormone in your liver than you would ever have. And that is in no way natural. So this, part of the bioidentical issue is how it gets into your body and what the chemical is.
So women should start getting proactive about this at what age, do you think? Really,
Everyone's age is different. The average age of menopause of the last period is 51. For women who smoked, who had a smoking habit as teenagers, the average menopause is 49, because they killed some of their eggs when they were smoking as teenagers. That last period is preceded for most women by several years of perimenopausal transition. I would encourage women to respect the fact that they know their bodies, and if they are starting to have symptoms and things are not what they were for them, that's when they're going through perimenopause, because it can start subtly, but we all know how we feel day to day, and when you suddenly are not feeling that way anymore, it's happening, and there is not a number. I've had women come in their late 30s saying, I think I'm going through perimenopause. This is not me. And you can do blood tests, and sure enough, they are. And other people don't have a symptom until they're in their 50s. So the age variation is huge.
Okay, and one last question. There are not a lot of doctors or are there, you tell me, in this country who really, I mean, specializing in menopause? I mean, the gynecologist maybe who delivered your children you've been going to from the age of 25 to 35 or 45 may not be the same gynecologist that you want to take with you from, say, 50 to 80. I mean, is that true? Are there specialists who just deal in this? And how does someone find, I was blessed, thank you God, I was blessed to, end up in your capable hands. How does someone find, because a lot of people watching this don't live in New York, how does someone find a Robin Phillips? Explain.
The field of women's health, there are internists who do women's health, and there are OBGYNs who do women's health. Most women go to OBGYNs. The specialty area of menopause and midlife women is not specifically been recognized for unique training in general by the medical establishment as a whole. However, there's an organization called the North American Menopause Society, which is actually started in North America, but is actually an international menopause society, which has set up a specialty exam to certify people as menopause practitioners. It is an extremely difficult exam, but people who have passed this test have been certified by the powers that be that they're experts on menopause. There are, last I knew, about 800 doctors or 800 healthcare professionals, that includes nurse practitioners or PAs, who have been certified. And you can go on the website of NAMS, which is www.menopause.org, and find a NAMS certified menopause practitioner who lives near you. And actually, they have NAMS certification button.
I'll put the link on this site so people can go to it and find it.
And we get a button, and you have to keep recertifying. It's not a certification for life. There's a certain amount of credits you have to get every single year to update your certification to maintain it. And this is a 2011 button, I might add.
So pretty much all of you in this organization have to be up on the latest developments, and
every year. And once you're certified, you're not certified for life. So every year you have to do a certain amount of continuing medical education in this specific field to maintain the certification.
That's really good to know, and sounds like the way to go. All right, so in closing, because yesterday actually we did the dating blog of dating after 50. Robin, just now being 59, tell us what happened to you.
58
58,
still.
So
Almost 59.
Almost 59, okay. Tell us what happens to you, or happened to you in October.
Well, I just got remarried.
Yay!
To my soulmate, to the love of my life. I had been married the first time for 28 years, and that marriage ended in divorce. And I reconnected with my wonderful new husband. I had not seen him in 29 years. We had been medical students and interns together, and people who knew us back then fixed us up and told us each that the other one was available. And after not seeing each other for 29 years, we reconnected 4 years ago. And after 2 weeks, he said, well, I don't want to get you nervous, and I don't know how to play this game, but I do want you to know I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And I said, oh, I thought you would never ask. We both knew immediately. And I have to add that I was one of the people going into this, and I said I would never, never, never remarry. Men were an aggravation. So it happens. It can happen.
You never know.
I've never been happier. I have never been happier, neither has he.
So you never know. So a lot of women sitting out there lonely in their 50s, it can happen anytime, right?
And I will say from my experience, it's better. It's better the second time around.
Well, Robin, you're a wonderful doctor. You're a great woman. Gary's a lucky guy, and we're lucky to have had this time with you. Thank you.
Thank you.